Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are here with Austin from Ohio, and today is Thursday, June 9th, 2022. Well, a few days ago, 3 days ago, 2 days ago, technically, almost three, Homeland Security decides to come out with this. And I'm sure you guys remember the last one they came out with, and they do this from time to time because well, you'll see. It's part of the agenda. They're literally warning of it's ridiculous, actually. They're warning of domestic violent extremists who praise what happened in Uvalde and all this stuff. And I don't know anybody who would praise what happened there. Nobody would ever praise that. You have to be seriously sick and demented in the head and evil to the core to praise something like that. So they're lying. They always lie. We know they lie. It's what they do, especially during this time. So many lies. And people now are about to be distracted, thinking that they're, paying attention to what's going on. They're going to be distracted by the hearings in D.C. over the January 6th incident that happened, which we all know the truth about that. I put that video up. Did not get taken down, surprisingly, but it did get, what's the word? It doesn't get taken down, but it gets something. I forget what it's called, but you can't share it or anything like that. So it's all good. I'm going to have to go and find it, and I'll repost it so people can watch it. So during this time, people can stay caught up with what actually happened there. It was very well coordinated. It was really, that's all it was. Anyway, DHS issues National Terrorism Advisory System Bulletin. Today, Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro N. Mayorkas issued a National Terrorism Advisory System Bulletin regarding the continued heightened threat environment across the United States. Think about that. Continued heightened threat environment. There always has to be a threat, right? So they can get away with their tyranny. A tyrant will always find a pretext for his tyranny. That is a fact. This is the sixth NTAS bulletin issued by the Department of Homeland Security since January 2021, and it replaces the current bulletin that was set to expire at 2 p.m. Eastern Time today, which was June 7th. So they're just running it right into the next one. Quote, as recent acts of violence in communities across the country have so tragically demonstrated, the nation remains in a heightened threat environment. We expect that environment will become more dynamic in the coming months, said Secretary Alejandro N. Mayorkas. Department of Homeland Security remains steadfast in our commitment to provide timely information and resources to the American public and our partners across every level of government, in law enforcement, and in the private sector. This includes regular engagements with stakeholders to maintain awareness about the threat environment, trainings, online resources to help communities stay safe, increased sharing of information with law enforcement partners, and millions of dollars in grant funding opportunities for communities and organizations to enhance security and advance prevention efforts. Yeah, as in, one prevention effort would be a pre-crime system. Oh, you might go commit this crime at some point in the future, even though you didn't, and you probably realistically won't. We're going to go ahead and say that you would, so we're going to arrest you for that, based on something that you posted or said online. And up here, where they said they expect the environment will become more dynamic in the coming months, that means that, hello, they're expecting it because Homeland Security runs these type of operations. That was literally the point of Homeland Security. It is a national police force, soon to be integrated into the worldwide police force. Bill Cooper talked about all this, and he died before DHS was even a thing. He talked about the rise of a national police force. And, when Homeland Security was created after 9/11, I think it was January 2002, but I'm not 100% sure. It was just at first, protecting the homeland, this and that, a big, huge campaign to get the public to accept it. And then, under Obama, remember when he came out and said that we need a civilian army that rivals the U.S. military? Yeah, and started pouring billions and billions of dollars into DHS, militarizing the hell out of DHS, giving them billions and billions of rounds of hollow point ammunition, among other things. And DHS literally consists of 27, I believe. It's either 22 or 27 different government agencies, including agencies like the Department of Education, which also has a SWAT team and all this military equipment. DHS has, it's literally an industrial complex now. FEMA, just you name it. They're all under DHS umbrella now. Okay, in the coming months, DHS expects the threat environment to become more dynamic as several high-profile events could be exploited to justify acts of violence against a range of possible targets. These targets could include public gatherings, faith-based institutions, schools, racial, ethnic, and religious minorities, government facilities and personnel, U.S. critical infrastructure, the media, and perceived ideological opponents. Okay, alright, I don't even have to go through that one. Threat actors have recently mobilized to violence due to factors such as personal grievances, reactions to current events, and adherence to violent extremist ideologies, including racially or ethnically motivated or anti-government, anti-authority violent extremism. See how they put all those together? Racially or ethnically motivated or anti-government, anti-authority violent extremism. So they just lump it all together. If you have a personal grievance and you are distrustful of the government for good reason because of what they tell us and do on a day-to-day basis, how they have a history of violence and a history of abusing and even killing people, well, you're a terrorist, right? We went over that. The 72 types of Americans who are considered terrorists. I'm actually going to go over that again. After this, I'm going to pull it up. Okay. Foreign adversaries, including terrorist organizations and nation-state adversaries, also remain intent on exploiting the threat environment to promote or inspire violence, sow discord, or undermine U.S. democratic institutions. The DHS continues to assess that the primary threat of mass casualty violence in the United States stems from lone offenders and small groups motivated by a range of ideological beliefs and or personal grievances. Yep, you get a little upset about something? Guess what? Now you're being watched. Oh, you got a personal grievance with something? Anything at all? They don't say it has to be with them or anything at all. They just say personal grievance. So, what's going on with that? DHS works with partners across every level of government in the private sector and local communities to keep Americans safe, including through the following resources and support. DHS and the Federal Bureau of Investigation continue to share timely and actionable information and intelligence with the broadest audience possible. This includes sharing information and intelligence with partners across every level of government and in the private sector. DHS conducts recurring threat briefings with the private sector and state, local, tribal, territorial, and campus partners, including to inform security planning efforts. DHS remains committed to working with partners to identify and prevent all forms of terrorism and targeted violence, and to support law enforcement efforts to keep communities safe. As in, they want to keep you under some form of control. Any little thing, any little act of rebellion, any little thought crime, anything like that, you're on a list. We're all already on that list, people in this community at least. DHS Office of Intelligence and Analysis and the FBI National Counterterrorism Center released updated behavioral indicators of U.S. extremist mobilization to violence. Further, INA's National Threat Evaluation and Reporting Program continues to provide tools and resources for federal, state, local, tribal, and territorial partners on preventing terrorism and targeted violence, including online suspicious activity reporting training. I would like to see exactly what they're talking about. I want to see, because I had a news article up a minute ago that I was actually going to read, but I like to go to the horse's mouth itself. The news article said that people were praising what happened in Uvalde. That is not even close to being true. Nobody that I have ever talked to in my entire life would ever support something as heinous as that. So DHS, if you're listening, you can take your lies and you can shove them where the sun don't shine, because I'm not afraid of you. Okay. And all this is leading up to the banning and confiscation of private firearms owned by American citizens. You know, to prevent terrorism and prevent these things from happening again. They're just going to keep bombarding and bombarding and bombarding until we are weak, docile, and, well, helpless against the power of the New World Order. Okay, DHS Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency works with government and private sector partners, including owners and operators of critical infrastructure, soft target facilities, and public gathering places to enhance security and mitigate risk posed by acts of terrorism and targeted violence through its network of protective security advisors and resources addressing active shooters, school safety, bombing prevention, and soft targets, crowded places. DHS Center for Prevention Programs and Partnerships educates and trains stakeholders. Funny how that's now a thing. Stakeholders. Like Klaus Schwab's stakeholder capitalism, right? Which we went over that extensively on this channel, and that's just another fancy term for fascism. If you ask Klaus Schwab definition of stakeholder capitalism, and he'll tell you. And then look up the definition of fascism, and it's exactly the same thing. No different. Not at all. Okay, let's see. The DHS Center for Prevention Programs and Partnerships educates and trains stakeholders on how to identify indicators of radicalization to violence, where to seek help, resources that are available to prevent targeted violence, and terrorism. In 2021, CP3 awarded about $20 million in grants through its Targeted Violence and Terrorism Prevention grant program. 2021, DHS designed for the first time domestic violent extremism as a national priority area within its Homeland Security grant program, resulting in at least $77 million being spent on preventing, preparing for, protecting against, and responding to related threats. In 2022, DHS Nonprofit Security Grant Program provided over $250 million in funding to support target hardening and other physical security enhancements to nonprofit organizations at high risk of terrorist attack. You see the paradigm they created after 9/11, and even more so after all of this. None of this could be done without 9/11. DHS remains focused on disinformation that threatens the security of the American people, including disinformation spread by foreign states, such as Russia, China, or Iran, or other adversaries such as transnational criminal organizations and human smuggling organizations. Schoolsafety.gov consolidates school safety-related resources from across the government. Through this website, the K-12 academic community can also connect with school safety officials and develop the school safety plans. The NTAS Bulletin will expire November 30th, 2022. This NTAS Bulletin provides the public with information about the threat landscape facing the United States, how to stay safe, and resources and tools to help prevent an individual's radicalization and violence. The public should report any suspicious activity or threats of violence to local law enforcement, FBI field office, or local fusion center. And you can go and read the actual bulletin here. But we already pretty much got what we needed from this. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow, read the actual bulletin. So, in other words, this is how they keep you down where they need you to be. You know what kind of fear is going to be prevalent now that they put this out and they're creating this type of heightened threat environment? But it's not going to be fear of, well, it will be fear of, individuals and your neighbor and this and that, which of course, but people are going to read this and they're going to fear any kind of speaking out in fear of being labeled as a domestic extremist, domestic terrorist. Like if you, anything is. You know what? I'm going to bring that up right now, actually. Alright, here we are over at thetruthwins.com, and this is an archive. This came out in 2013, right after that beef up of Homeland Security and the release of the Homeland Security list. It was the terrorist watch list, that's right, and I actually have the actual document. I'm trying to remember the actual name of it. I have it in my PDF folder. I'll get to it another time, but basically it comes down to, let me show you. Okay, let's see. Here's the opening. Are you conservative, libertarian, Christian, or gun owner? Are you opposed to abortion, globalism, communism, illegal immigration, United Nations, or the New World Order? Do you believe in conspiracy theories? Do you believe that we are living in the end times? You ever visit alternative news websites, such as this one? If you answered yes to any of those questions, you are a potential terrorist according to official U.S. government documents. At one time, the term terrorist was used very narrowly. The government applied that label to people like Osama bin Laden and other Islamic jihadists, but now, and still now, under Biden, but started under Obama, removing all references to Islam from terror training materials, and instead the term terrorist is being applied to large groups of American citizens, which was the point. That was literally the point. And if you're a terrorist, it means you have no rights, and the government can treat you like it treats the terrorists that are being held at Guantanamo Bay. Now listen, I can't talk too much about this because I don't know too much about this, but my dad was stationed in Guantanamo Bay like 3 years ago for a whole year. And some of the things that he briefly spoke of, like an overview, you don't want to ever experience anything like that ever. You don't. You just don't. So if you belong to a group of people that are now being referred to as potential terrorists, please don't take it as a joke. The first step to persecuting any group of people is to demonize them. And right now, large groups of peaceful, law-abiding citizens are being ruthlessly demonized. Below is a list of 72 types of Americans that are considered to be extremists and potential terrorists in official U.S. government documents. To see the original source document for each point, just click on the link. As you can see, this list covers most of the country. So I will link this so you guys can go through here. But I have the watch list guidance. It's something watch list guidance from Homeland Security. I have the entire thing. I can't remember. I'll have to look it up and then tell you guys. But anyway, let's see how many you are. Those that talk about individual liberties. Those that advocate for states' rights. Those that want to make the world a better place. The colonists who sought to free themselves from British rule. Those that are interested in defeating the communists. Those that believe that interests of one's own nation are separate from the interest of other nations or the common interest of all nations. Anyone who holds the political ideology that considers the state to be unnecessary, harmful, or undesirable. Anyone that possesses an intolerance toward other religions. Those that take action to fight against the exploitation of environment and or animals. Anti-gay, anti-immigrant, anti-Muslim, the Patriot Movement, opposition to equal rights for gays and lesbians, members of the Family Research Council, members of the American Family Association, those that believe the United States, Canada, or Mexico, Canada, and the United States are secretly planning to merge into a European Union-like entity that will be known as the North American Union, members of the American Border Patrol, American Patrol, members of the Federation for American Immigration Reform, members of the Tennessee Freedom Coalition, members of the Christian Action Network, anyone that is opposed to the New World Order. Anyone that is opposed to the New World Order. Gee, came right out with that one. Anyone that is engaged in conspiracy theorizing. Anyone that is opposed to Agenda 21. Anyone that is concerned about FEMA camps. Anyone that fears impending gun control or weapons confiscations. The militia and sovereign citizen movement. Those that don't think they should have to pay taxes. Anyone that complains about bias. Anyone that believes in government conspiracies to the point of paranoia. Anyone that is frustrated with mainstream ideologies. Anyone that visits extremist websites / blogs. Anyone that establishes a website blog to display extremist views. See, I would probably fall under that one. Even though I'm not an extremist, nor am I a terrorist or anything like that, but according to them, well, anyone that attends rallies for extremist causes. Anyone that exhibits extreme religious intolerance. Anyone that is personally connected with a grievance. Are you personally connected with a grievance? Did your mom die recently or any time at all? Are you older? Have you lost both your parents? I'm pretty sure that was a grievance. Oh, you're personally connected to that? You're a terrorist. That's how these people work. They leave no room. They leave no wiggle room at all. Everybody falls under this blanket. Anyone that suddenly acquires weapons. Anyone that organizes protests inspired by extremist ideology. Militia or unorganized militia. You know what the unorganized militia is, right? The Supreme Court ruled this, by the way. Any able-bodied person age 17 and older. General right-wing extremists. citizens that have bumper stickers that are patriotic or anti-United Nations, those that refer to an army of God, those that are fiercely nationalistic as opposed to universal and international in orientation, those that are anti-global, those that are suspicious of centralized federal authority, those that are reverent of individual liberty, those that believe in conspiracy theories, those that have a belief that one's personal and or national way of life is under attack, those that possess a belief in the need to be prepared for an attack either by participating in paramilitary preparations, training, or survivalism, those that would impose strict religious tenets or laws on society, those that would insert religion into political sphere, anyone that would seek to politicize religion, those that have supported political movements for autonomy, anyone that is anti-abortion, anyone that is anti-Catholic, anyone that is anti-nuclear, right-wing extremists, returning veterans, those concerned about illegal immigration, those that believe in the right to bear arms. There's a big one. Anyone that is engaged in ammunition stockpiling, anyone that exhibits a fear of communist regimes, anti-abortion activists, those that are against illegal immigration, those that talk about the New World Order in a derogatory manner. Come get me now. that's the point of my entire existence. Fuck your New World Order. How about that? Those that had a negative view of the United Nations. Oh yeah, United Nations, go to hell. Those that are opposed to the collection of federal income taxes. Well, yeah, because it's illegal, technically. Those that supported former presidential candidates Ron Paul, Chuck Baldwin, and Bob Barr. Those that display the Gadsden flag. Don't tread on me. Those that believe in end times prophecies. And here's the icing on the cherry on the cake, right? Evangelical Christians. So you can see here. You can see any one of you or anybody else that comes across this video or anybody out in general who, even the people that are completely brainwashed, buy into everything the state says, support them hand and foot, and never want to do anything to get in any kind of trouble, there's something on here that pertains to you, and that is a fact. Sorry, I had to light up my cigarette here. So you can just go through here, and I will link this for you guys, and I will bring up the original Homeland Security document. I have it. It's very lengthy, a couple thousand pages, I believe, and all of this stuff is in there. Everything on here is exactly what it says in that document. So I just think it's funny that there's so many different ones on here that talk about, oh, anyone that engages in conspiracy theorizing, oh, those that believe in conspiracy theories, oh, anyone that is opposed to the New World Order, oh, anyone that's against Agenda 21, oh, anybody that sees the state as not necessary or harmful. Like, come on. They have every single angle covered. Every single angle covered. And one of my favorite ones, actually, is, where's it at? Let's see. Oh, come on. I'm here somewhere. It's the one that says anyone that is personally connected with a grievance. It's here somewhere. I probably just passed it up. You guys probably saw it, and I just looked right over it. But yeah. Here it is. Anyone that is personally connected with a grievance. And you notice that these are mostly vague. So anything could fall under any one of these categories. So odds are, you, me, anybody else in this chat, anybody else on this channel, anybody else on any channel ever, everybody you see in your daily life, we are all considered terrorists. And we're seeing the result of that now. Because they combine this stuff with what they're doing with the reset and the World Economic Forum and the whole Fourth Industrial Revolution, Agenda 2030. They're trying to fast track. Like, the way they look at it, they're barreling down the road, and if you don't get out of the way, you're getting hit. And I'll tell you right now, I am not going to a FEMA camp. I am not going to a FEMA camp whatsoever at all. So Take with that what you will. God bless you all.